Didn't miss that part. That's all right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the meeting to order. We'll have a roll call, please.
Ready.
Here.
Drummond.
Here.
Mall.
Here.
Bob here.
Here.
Thompson.
I would ask that Commissioner Thompson be marked excused, please.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Commissioner Thompson marked as excused. He did inform me he wasn't going to be here.
Yeah, he told us that in January.
Yeah. I'll accept the motion to approve the minutes from the March 3rd special regular meeting and the March 12th special meeting.
So moved for both and authorized chair to sign.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Mall.
Yes.
Bob here.
Yes.
Drummond.
Yes,
Ready.
Yes. Public comment.
No public comment.
Well, let's see here. I think Gretchen Bloom tried to come in. We'll give you a couple more seconds here. There's nobody in house, but if anybody watching online wants to make a comment. Okay, run a text into the chat section there if you can't make the audio work, and I'll get you in at some point.
There's one question right there now.
Oh, can WBKB record this meeting? Oh yeah, it's public public domain, so sure, absolutely.
thanks for asking.
Yeah, he was.
Send me a copy.
There you go. Okay, we'll move on to presentations. First, we have Randy from MIFSM Medical Examiner. When you're ready.
Dr. Bush is there too.
Oh, I have Dr. Bush as well.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Randy Fow. I'm the Director of Operations at the Medical Examiner's Office, Michigan Institute of Forensic Science and Medicine. And with me today is Dr. Russell Bush. And we just like to give you a short presentation. I want to introduce myself as well, let you know that I came from 25 years at the Sheriff's Office in Saginaw County. I was a lieutenant of oversight of all law enforcement and head of security for Saginaw. And the last 5 years, I was the director of Saginaw County 911 facility as well. So I know the importance of working closely with our administrators, police, fire, medical, and boards of commissions. So please let me be your resource and your contact. If there's anything that I can assist you with, please let me know. And of course, Dr. Bush is also always available. This morning, we'd like to just provide you some background and information on our contract from with Alcona for the Medical Examiner's Office. For the year 2021 till current date, we have 11 cases that we investigated, medical examiner investigation cases, 5 by the MEI Kramer, 5 by MEI Marhar, and then 1 by MEI Chris Wilson. Cremation permits, 8 of 11 deaths investigated. Manners of death, we have 10 natural, and pending 1 awaiting autopsy report from January 24th. So we're waiting on documentation for the doctor to review to provide an opinion. Diagnosis commonly discovered. Most have more than 1 contributing comorbidity factors, which include heart disease. We had 7, diabetics 2, COPD 6, hypertension 5, obesity 3, hyperlipidemia 6, alcohol liver 3, and cancer 1. The ages are 49 to 85 years of age, 6 over 70, and 4 between 60 and 70. That's the basic information that we had to share. Dr. Bush, is there anything that you would like to add?
A couple of different things. One being that we signed on our second forensic pathologist who will be arriving late summer or the first thing early fall. and a couple different things related to two forensic pathologists that we have. Currently, Dr. Randy Cashian is our forensic pathologist. He has not only a subspecialty in forensic pathology, but a second subspecialty in neuropathology, or pathological problems related to the nervous system. Our second pathologist is also a forensic pathologist, and his second subspecialty will be in pediatric pathology, which both of those subspecialties, including the forensic pathology, are specialties that are not seen very frequently anywhere, but less frequently seen in Michigan. So we're able to bring some significant additional resources to bear through the medical examiner office by having these particular forensic pathologists working with us. The second piece of the difference is that one of the elements that we presented originally to the county was to develop a succession plan. You know, I am getting younger, but you never know. And what we're trying to do is set up a program where when it either comes time to me to retire or something happens, who knows, there's going to be built-in system for a replacement and ongoing ability to maintain the services as well as the forensic pathology services. And so that's in place now. I will be coming to you, or bringing Randy here, bringing to you the people who will be my potential followers and will be working with your current MEIs or investigators, bringing them on board as deputy medical examiners throughout Alpine County. Michigan statute requires that the boards of commissioners do appoint deputy medical examiners. So I will put together their background information, and one or the other of us will be bringing that to you in the not distant future to consider for appointment. Boards of commissioners do the appointment. I get to be the approval mechanism, but since I'm already bringing them to you, I've already approved. It just needs to have your consideration and approval as well. Unless there's questions, that's all I have.
Okay, any questions from the board?
I do. Dr. Bush, when we originally signed on with Michigan Forensic, it was my understanding that we would be getting quarterly, either written or presented reports. And I'm not aware of that happening. Could that begin to be initiated moving forward, please?
Yes, it can.
Okay, thank you.
That has, it hasn't been
Thank
done.
you.
So, part of that's part of it just another one of those things that got on the back burner that we need to bring forward again. And yes, it will happen from here on out.
Okay, good to hear.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming and give us some information today. As far as I'm aware, we haven't had any major issues or problems with your service thus far. So you'll hear from us if we do.
Right. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting all of you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you.
That's one of the rationales we had for bringing Randy on board, was to be a direct link back and forth to all the stakeholders, so that if there is an issue that's brewing, that we want to be able to get on top of it as early as possible. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Man, that Randy guy looks familiar. Okay, that's a medical examiner presentation. Is EDC folks ready to What's that?
You guys ready to?
We're gonna try and share on the Zoom here in a second. As soon as we open up the Zoom here.
Technology at its finest moments now, right?
Susan will weigh into another member.
I love it. I love it. Okay, here.
You have to give him permission
So-
to present.
Oh, on the John should be able to handle that stuff. It might just be up on the. Oh, here we go.
I think it should be.
There it is.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, you can go ahead.
What is this?
There you go.
This is Craig's presentation information.
Oh, okay. He knows I can't read
Well,
that.
not necessarily correct, but
Yeah.
Doug's gonna do a lot of the talking, but
Right. Is it okay if I drop this?
Yeah.
Yes,
All
my opinion.
right, for those of you that don't know me, I think it's probably you're
Terry Small.
Terry Small, Doug Cheek, the Alpine Economic Development Committee. To report to the commissioners. I have a couple committee members here with me. Sue Haight, she's the co-chair.
Morning,
And
afternoon.
Nick's- What's your name again?
What's your name?
That guy over there.
That guy over there. Where you
John
want me?
Brixton?
Where you
That's fine right there. Just closer to the microphone.
Okay. All right. So sort of the rules we set up when we set up the committee was that we wanted to get a quarterly report to you guys along the way every year. So this is the first one with the new group.
Speak up a little, because to get the mic, to hit the mic, so people can hear.
Speak up a little bit.
Okay. How's this?
Perfect.
Better.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. So today we wanted to go over some some housekeeping things first. And then what you see up on the screen there is an action list that we keep up to date on everything we're doing and who may be responsible for particular things getting completed. And so we'll kind of walk through that. That'll kind of tell you what we've been doing and where we're going. First, one of the things we have to do with the commissioners is if somebody leaves the committee or needs to go off the committee, or somebody comes on the committee, we have to bring that opportunity to you for approval. Seems like a little bit of a cumbersome step, but we would like to have the autonomy to do that without having to come in every time. And Dan is one of the members of the committee, so he can certainly report the comings and goings. But we do have a new committee member that we'd like to put on the committee, so I'll follow the protocol today. But I would like permission from the commissioners to allow us to do this autonomously from not having to wait maybe a quarter to ask for that to happen. So we have a new applicant here. His name is Jordan Weichel. That name might sound familiar. This young man is very talented. He's going to be a great asset to the committee. He's got some significant computer science background and also grew up in the county, understands the challenges that we're facing when we're dealing with things like broadband or economic development in general. So this is his letter of interest. I'll just give this to you guys and you can pass that around and look at it.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, for this one, we're still following the protocol, so I need you guys to move to accept him and also make a motion that allows us to move forward on this without.
Well, I think first I'd like to make a motion that we accept the nomination of Jordan Weichel to join the EDC
I'll do it
committee.
later if I may. I'll support that.
Okay, moved and supported to accept the application. Any further comment? Approve or accept? What did you say?
Approve it.
Approve, okay.
Yeah.
Approve. No comment?
Approve the appointment, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Approve the appointment.
No comment. I will say, nobody's had a chance to look at this, but we'll do a roll call anyway and see where we land.
Brumman,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Brady.
Yes.
Oh, the whole
Let me see what I said yes.
I made it through.
He made it through.
And I think in going on with what Doug has suggested, I also like to make a motion that we approve and allow the committee to replace members as they leave with, before approval of the board. They would still come to the board for approval, but it would be after the fact, I guess.
Well, yes, if that's what you want, that we can easily
Well-
do that. It seems like an extra step.
I hesitate to do that from the standpoint that all the other committees, we require them to do that. And we meet every 2 weeks and we have a direct line to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
So the maximum wait would be 2 weeks.
Can Dan bring those
Absolutely.
candidates to the
Sure.
As
table?
far as I'm concerned, he sure can.
Oh, yeah, you could
Or
just,
you can just send it to us by email. or
Email.
whatever.
Yeah, you don't have to come in person to present.
So
All right,
you don't have to come.
I'm okay with that.
I think we end up.
Yeah, I don't
setting a
want to,
precedent
we
on
didn't want to step on setting a precedent.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then.
Yeah.
That's my hesitation.
But I can tell you, if you email it to us, we'll get it by the next meeting. We'll have something.
All right.
Or
That's a
either way,
fair
email or he can
Especially
bring.
if you-
compromise.
Especially if you think to copy the clerk that you put right on the agenda.
Well, Dan can tell me who to copy. and
Okay, very
send
good.
it,
Sure.
Yep.
And I'll make sure that we do that.
Okay.
We're not going to have an avalanche
No.
of, committee members coming to bear, but, through the last couple of years, we've had a core group of the committee that continues to work very hard on things. And we have a couple of people that really aren't doing anything. So we want to be able to, when those positions are, when we find a candidate, we want to backfill those positions.
Absolutely.
So with people that are going to get the work done. So,
Excellent.
okay, so we're going to move along to what's up on the screen right now. And I'm going to ask, Sue's driving.
Yeah, that is not my video gallery there, that's yours. So if you need to move that out of the way so you can read that column, I suggest
I don't know if you can.
trinket or close, you should be able
Oh,
to-
I can. Yeah, I got her. Hold on. It's
Just hide it.
giving me fits
Yeah,
here.
I've got it.
It doesn't want me to hear it.
Hi.
Good enough. All right.
We can deal with it on the bottom. I think that's easier, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't see it at all because it's not mine,
Oh,
it's on
okay.
his control.
All right.
Just so they can read it, yeah.
Sue, can you
So I
get
left
us?
the ongoing things here and the blank ones, Doug.
Yeah, I need to see the ongoing ones first. So, all right, can you pull the dates?
Can you zoom out a little, Craig?
They're not,
Or no?
which dates?
The
I-
date,
The date they're due?
the date they're due. the
Okay,
date
because
they're-
I got that out of the
Just
way.
tell
so
us
that
what
we
they
have
all are.
More space up there.
All right. Well, I'll just explain how we use this.
Sure.
There are other columns on here that say, the date we assigned it to somebody, the date it's completed, and then there's an opportunity to add comments. And sometimes you're going to see ongoing because, for instance, the quarterly report, that's something that's ongoing that we will be doing quarterly with you folks. So, but it is a good example of kind of everything that's going on with the committee right now. So I'm going to hit a couple of highlights. There you go. There's just an example of what we see when we look at it. But starting up there at the top with quarterly reports, obviously that's ongoing. Sue, you want to say something about the reverse auction process? That's something you've been tracking.
That's something that we're watching. So there is a behavior in the internet community that when there is dark fiber, which is hard fiber in the ground that is not owned by an internet service provider. So for example, someone lays hardware in the ground for broadband connectivity, but you need somebody to provide the service, such as Frontier or Verizon or
provider.
Charter or Spectrum. So somebody buys the right to send communication across that line.
Mm-hmm.
The new practice has been one of two ways. They will very often auction off the hard fiber to those internet service providers. So if someone wants to serve a particular area, the hardware provider will say, oh, we already laid line on so-and-so, but it's called dark right now because nobody has it. We've not had anyone come to call for the auctions to put fiber in the ground in our area yet in any large quantity, let alone auction to get the right to serve that dark fiber. So there's kind of, you think of it as two-stage. One is a physical process, and then one is the connectivity or the communications process. So this is something that we're aware that this process takes place. It's going to be a hard haul in Alcona County, because even if we find dark fiber in the ground, and there is some in some scattered locations, and if we put more down and we connect it, realize that the maximum residences in the county is roughly around 11,000. That's assuming none of those people whatsoever have any internet service at this moment, and quite a few of them do. So it's not a lot of providers are going to want to come in this area in an auction manner and try and buy a small market unless they know they're going to get return on it. But we're keeping an eye on it because it's kind of it's a clever way to get someone to cover that service in a limited area like this. So I'm on a continuous monitor for this process through the FCC committees and also through House bills and Senate bills. That's where a lot of this is being discussed. So I'm on this automatic list, and every time they have an update about this conversation, I get a little notice to see if it's going to impact us. So right now, they're not forcing anyone to cover these small areas, but there's conversation about that. And what do you do if we find dark fiber and we can't get anybody to bid on it? Where does it go? So.
Thanks, Sue.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to the EDA grant. It was in late spring, early summer that I think once we got pretty well established last year and we're looking at the situation in the county and getting some feedback from various providers from the school, we realized that nobody really knows what's laying in the ground around here. I mean, you talk to a provider, you don't get it. You look at their map, but it's a fallacy. It doesn't really cover. It's not an honest representation of existence of service. And that concerned us greatly. So we set off on seeking a grant, and we went down the EDA, which is the Economic Development Authority at the federal level. They were offering grants, and we decided that we needed to map the county. We need to know what we have before we decide what we need. And because it's so disparate, and because there's things like dark fiber laying in ground at dead end roads and not connected to anything, how can you possibly create solutions around the county without knowing what's there and what's needed? So we approached the EDA for a grant opportunity, which was for a detailed granular mapping study of every piece of internet communications that lays in the ground, is on a pole, or wherever it exists or how it exists. And there are people that do this technically for a living, organizations. And so we applied for an EDA grant, and I think the total grant was what, $80,000? And we worked with NEMCOG on this because we don't have the resources to know what. You've got to write these grants with very specific language for the federal government. NEMCOG and the EDA people have had experience doing things for road projects and things like that. So they kind of know how to talk the language between the two organizations. So we kind of, sidled up to NEMCOG, started working with Diane Rakowski and Denise Klein and Nico Tucker, and worked with them to put together the grant language, a lot of which we created, and then they just fit into the template. That grant went off. It was an 80-20 match on that grant. So at about $80,000, we were looking at $15,000, $16,000 in a match. Along the way, we didn't feel too comfortable about coming to you guys for that kind of money. So we sat down again with NEMCOG and said, this is why people up here can't accomplish the kind of things that need to be accomplished to serve their communities. Because as soon as that match comes up, there isn't probably a unit of government north of Saginaw that has the kind of, excess cash laying around to throw out on the table. So talking to them got MEDC involved. MEDC, long story short, came to the table and covered the match. So there is no cost to the county. The RFP grant was approved, and it's a post-award RFP process. So we now have been awarded the money, and we've just now pushed out, I think at the end of last week, it went out,
Yes, it was just.
It went out to
For Monday.
a number of contractors across the country and as well in Michigan. And we're waiting till April 15th, when that's their deadline to get their RFP responses back in if they're interested. And then we have a little bit of time to go through those, and we have a scoring system in place that will score those grants. There's a subcommittee that was created to evaluate those grants.
Not
Myself,
grants, not grants, replies to the RFP.
what's that?
You keep saying we're scoring the grants. We're not scoring the grants.
No,
We're scoring the
no,
responses to the
we're-
RFPs.
We put a scoring system in.
Yeah, for the replies.
And
to
then
the
we will
RFPs.
review that, and there'll be a scoring system we'll use to do that. And I believe that we had to form a subcommittee under rules of the grant to review the RFPs. And on that committee are myself, Sue Haight, and John Hartley at this point. I don't know if somebody from NEMCOG is going to jump into that group too. Probably Nico will. He was kind of making noise about that the other day.
Well, he's the project manager, so he'll help guide us.
Yeah.
As to how to go through that evaluation process, because the point is, we're evaluating on criteria of response to the requirements in the RFP, not price. Price comes in sealed separately.
Right.
Yeah, so we look at the RFP, we see who meets the qualifications, and we open the
Right.
top two.
So we're being very, very careful with the process because we want to get the right people involved. At the end of the day, I'm aware of some of the groups that do this, and at the end of the day, the detail that comes up is phenomenal. The mapping that comes up is phenomenal. We're going to know where everything is, who's using what, who isn't using what, and also on the backside, one of the requirements of the RFP is they have to give us a roadmap of solutions for each part of the county. So there are parts of this county that are going to take, this is going to take an amalgam of solutions. It's not going to be one size fits all. We have areas of the county that are just impossible to do certain things in, but there are other solutions. So what's going to come back is a roadmap that's going to talk to us about how we deal with the topography, how we deal with in this area, if it's west of the county, in west part of the county or around Hubbard Lake or wherever it might be. So we will come out of this with a pretty good answers to the test. And then we go from there. And what may come after that, and I say may because we need to find out first what we have, is there is with the EDA, there is this grant process, and this is a non-construction grant. This is simply services. The next step would be a construction grant where you get up into the millions of dollars to help with, and usually the providers. Now, there's a lot going on with the providers now. There's a lot of money flying around right now. And there was a lot of money given to a couple of providers that are going to deal with this area. They're big companies. So there's more to come on that. But just realize that this grant is going to give us a lot of information about the county, which never existed anywhere. I know that there's been efforts in the past, there's been surveys in the past, but nobody's ever really taken a hard look at what really sits in the ground here, sits in the polls or whatever. These guys are phenomenal. They take pictures, they chronicle everything. They register with the sheriff's department so that they know their license numbers of their cars, because they're going to be going everywhere in the county, up and down every road in the county. So it's going to be pretty comprehensive and granular when it's done. And we'll share those maps with anybody that wants it. It's not something we're trying to keep to ourselves. But at the end of the day, it's going to be very good for us to know where we need to go.
You're gonna have to have an internet connection to see the map.
Yes, the problem is, which will lead me into another situation in a minute here, but so that's what's going on with the grant. The good news is we got it. It didn't cost us a dime to get it, and we're in process right now. So on that point, the next thing on the list was actually put on there. I don't know when it was put on, but we were having a lot of discussions about how to better, that's today.
Yep, we put it on there for today.
Oh, okay. How to better, communicate with this group. Because without us all working together, we'll never get to where we want to get to, whether it's broadband or economic development. And by the way, it's really hard to see economic development without taking this first step, because mostly they walk away when they know that they can't get service in a particular area. So that is a driver, and that's a big deterrent to potential development in the county. So I know everybody says, well, what else are you doing for economic development? And I'm sort of like, I don't know what else we should be doing right now except this. And there will be other opportunities. There will be other projects that we can work on with the chamber and in conjunction with you folks. But this is our focus right now, our singular focus. Okay, so while we're on, I don't know if it comes up again down there, Sue, about the general communication. Is it further down?
Yep, it does, outreach program.
All right, well,
So there's two pieces to this. This one is working with the county.
Yep, all right.
We only see you once a quarter. Dan shows up at our meetings whenever he's available, and he's always in the loop. Is there something else you need from us, want from us? Do we need a better communication system? Because as you can tell, we're on the verge of information explosion here as soon as this grant goes through and the RFPs awarded.
Right, so our biggest concern is not the people that have broadband in the county. Our biggest concern, and I've kind of coined this, is reaching the unreachable. They aren't on Facebook. They don't have a broadband connection. They can't tune into what we're doing. They can't Zoom. They can't do anything of the population of the county. Because the amount of information that we want to share as this goes along, and we need to educate. We don't have an answer to this yet. We just started really booting this around the room a couple of weeks ago. We don't have an answer for this. How we can mail is probably, that would require the townships to embrace that and encourage their constituents to do that. Each of you represents a segment of the county. We don't know, you may know, and we may ask you to provide us if there is somebody in your sector that is an organization, an activist, or some such person or organization that we can connect to, then that starts to begin the conduit to another part of your townships. And you say, you know, we need to figure out a way for you to stuck, because a lot of stuff's going to start happening, and it'll start happening fairly quickly. And as people will say, well, nobody ever told us. Well, we want to dispel that up front. We want to get in front of that, not behind that. To broadband, which is an infrastructure project. So maybe somehow between what you guys can do and what we can get going and determine, I'm finding that people are willing to work with groups like ours. And we're going to go after NAMCOG. We're going to go after MEDC and see what they can do as well. But we need everybody sort of pushing on this. So I just want to make that point, so I'm not repeating myself. Agency breakfast, Craig?
Yes. We haven't been able to eat breakfast because it's Zoom.
So you're not showing up. There's no real food. There's virtual food.
So, yeah, I mean, agency breakfast is one of them. Before I start saying anything, I mean, I just want to give a lot of credit to both Doug and Sue here. They've done a lot of work. You guys can't imagine. I mean, we all are involved, but they're really the point of the spear here as far as getting a lot of this stuff done, a lot of these, the legwork that needs to get done. There's an active attempt to build relationships with Chamber of Commerce, the EDA. I'm spending time, other ones I know Dan is, as we try to, I don't want to use it, sounds a little negative, but tentacle out to these other groups in order to do the communication, to look for where the issues are, to try to figure out what's the best way to go forward. The agency breakfast is one of them. Anywhere we can go and talk and spread the word, that's what we're trying to do. So, and as Doug said, and we've done this in the past, I mean, you guys, all your township boards, any other groups that you're in front of, or any, it's just, you know, it's the talking. Information is good, but it's kind of, as Doug kind of insinuated a little bit, got to be a little bit of a tidal wave going, because if we don't get that kind of energy ginned up again, it's just going to crest very small again, and we'll have nothing. I mean, that's kind of what happened the last time around on this on our broadband study, and this is a lot more in depth and a lot more meat than our last one, so.
Just in terms of what Craig just talked about getting tentacles out and reaching out. We also had a meeting, I think it was like February 25th, with Mike Mailer from Target Alpina and Adam Pohl, who's the head of the Alpina Chamber. And the reason we wanted to meet with them is, number one, they're having some pretty good success up there. I know we're a lot different than they are. But it's always good to talk to some people that are using some best practices and, try to pick their brain a little bit, which we did. We had lunch. Dan and Craig and I had lunch with them. And one of the things that Target Alpina offers, and they've done this with Presqu'île, is they offer services that maybe a local government unit can't deal with, like the EDC up in Presqu'île. I think it's an EDC of some sort. They don't have a lot of time or wherewithal on how to accomplish certain things. So they made an agreement with Target Alpina, where Target Alpina actually does all their heavy lifting on the EDC side. And they do a lot of heavy lifting, that group. And they've helped Presqu'île a great deal. From what I understand. And we're going to kind of vet that a little further by talking to some of the folks up in Presqu'île. But they entered an agreement with Target Alpina, and it's a $25,000 a year retainer for them to answer the phone and do anything they ask them to do. Now, I have a list of scope of services, which is like a Chinese menu. It's long, but I'm not sure we need that kind of support. But we're going to continue the conversation, because if they can help us 15% in some area, and maybe this communication thing may be something they may be able to help us with, then it may be worth our while to go under a retainer with them and use their services. But again, we're vetting all this stuff right now. We're not recommending anything, but we've got a lot of lines in the water, I guess, as I said yesterday. Trying to solve these, and this is like kind of multi-level chess. We have the broadband, the technical side, we have the marketing or the getting the word out, communication side. It's a lot to hold down, but if we can find some partners, then it's going to help. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here.
We'll also be at Wordsmith tomorrow.
Yeah, that was next on my list. That's another thing. We're going on a Zoom meeting tomorrow at Wordsmith at the Airport Authority. We're going to be there mostly to listen and make them aware of us, and that we want a seat at that table at some level. There's a lot going on down there, and a lot of things that could benefit us as it kind of rolls up the highway here. So again, it's for those of you that haven't heard this before, you'll get tired of hearing it, but we only have a certain mission here. We're only limited to certain things we can do at this point, because we're not the Michigan corporation that the old AEDC was. But we do, our job is to discover, investigate, research, facilitate all economic development opportunities for this county. So that's what we do. And we may get more active. We may have to get more officialized down the road. But right now, there's a lot of work we can do without that. We don't need the bureaucracy of it. We have a good group here. We're working with as many community groups as we can to find out if there's sort of a symbiotic relationship we can create. So we'll continue to do that. So there'll be more on that meeting tomorrow. The last thing I have, I don't know if I told you, I know I told you about this yesterday. They're going to be tearing the road up here, right? For like 2 months, there's going to be a big old hole up there. And one of the things that just came out yesterday is Michigan, the state of Michigan, created a portal for what they call a Dig Once effort. Because they know broadband's coming, because they know there's a lot of road work that's coming, because they know why open a piece of ground twice when you have it open once. And so we kind of jumped on that right away. And I got in touch with Tom Stevenson from Connect Michigan, I said, we need to get to Mercury Electric, who is the one that got the big RDOF money for this area of the state. They're the ones that probably are going to be the ones that'll build the infrastructure. We need to get to them and say, hey, look, for 2.5 miles, the road's going to be open. You want to drop something in there now? Now's the time. So hopefully we can get them to do that, whether it's an empty conduit right now or something filled with glass. Fiber, sorry.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
You know, why tear the road up twice? You know, and generally when these guys get started, they don't stop. They just keep building and keep digging. And you know, I don't know yet if they're aware they're going to have to deal with the railroad to get down to the coast, but I'm sure that it's not their first barbecue. So we're hopeful on that. So that in and of itself is sort of our report today. Do you have anything to add?
I do not. I was going to mention wordsmith, but you brought it up. So
Yeah.
For SpaceX, and I think that's it. Anything else, Greg?
Any questions?
Are you receptive, perhaps, down the road to become, well, now I run the shower.
Yeah, that's the thing.
All
Right,
those
listen,
pre-qualifiers.
Everything,
Yes, whatever
every
she's
word you
going
say,
after.
that the question gets more
Yeah,
interesting.
right.
To becoming a part of the traditional updated EDC for Alcona County.
The answer would be yes, receptive. We would have to really look hard at, we need to get into the corporate papers from the past
Oh, yeah.
and bylaws and all those things. But what's been the advantage at this point has been that we're pretty footloose in terms of the things we do. And we're very careful about not endorsing and not endorsing a provider or not endorsing a contractor but helping them. Like we've helped Bill Miller beyond belief. Okay, he runs a little internet company, right? And Lakeshore Broadband. We helped him, and you know we continue to try to help in the meantime. But there probably will come a point in time when we're going to have to sit down and seriously look at that.
Good.
No, we're
I'm pleased to
we're
hear
open to anything and everything right now.
that. I'm pleased to hear that.
Whatever puts us in the
It's
best
a monthly
spot.
attempt at I get Doug's arm behind it. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, we gotta-
Yeah, but we need to have the right people in place and be prepared.
Yeah.
Because
I
as
mean,
soon
it
as we
depends
become
on
a
whether or not he
corporation-
behaves himself then.
Well,
Well-
that's part of the problem. We need to get rid of Craig. Yeah.
Our biggest concern, and I just did this for the radio station, so I know what it takes. We need to have qualified people because now we're reporting treasury reports and IRS
Financial
reports and
management,
tax
open
filings.
meeting
and-
act, and all that
So right now, we
Special
don't
people.
have the right people in place. I will be really honest with you. It may take some time to find those people.
Oh, absolutely.
But when we're looking at people, we're looking at how they might fit in that structure. But we need somebody that's got a financial treasurer type background. And we could really use somebody with a little bit of marketing,
Marketing,
communications experience.
Either that or we need to pay somebody.
Or
to-
we need to find a
Like
service that
Target
can do
Alpine
it for
or
us.
Better to have them on the
service.
team if you can.
So,
Well, if you pay them, they'll be on the team.
I know I know all this sounds a little amorphous, but at the same time, it's not. We know what we need. We know what we want. We just have to find it. I mean, finding Jordan was a great find. He fits perfectly with the group. And if we could find 2 more young like him that had those other experiences, we'd be in good shape. Anything else?
Well, I will say, I commend you guys for what you've done so far. It's outstanding. The other comment I would make is, to keep an ear on the part of the stimulus package that might be getting. I think I saw something for broadband and that wording too, so I'm sure you've already been looking it over, but
I call every dollar you're getting.
yeah.
And a
Well,
lot,
then you know all the strings that are attached.
I do.
You're looking all,
Do. Can't
licking your chops.
be
Yeah.
funding pensions, can't do
No.
tax
Oh, but there's a
shortfalls.
lot of other things. that
Well,
we-
I'm sure there is.
Regardless, so I thought you were already up to speed on that, but
There's only one word that qualifies us. It's infrastructure.
Well, so
Right.
I don't want to step on you too hard, but I mean, that's why this mapping that's gonna happen. I mean, I've been involved with you guys on this stuff, documentation. I mean, we're gonna be set. I mean, so we're not gonna have to send a a receipt to the government and say, hey, we did some infrastructure on broadband here. Yippee for us. We're way past that. I mean, when this mapping gets done, the kind of documentation we're gonna be able to provide to say, this was needed, this is what we spent it on, it's gonna be ironclad. I mean, it's gonna be justifiable and.
But as
We
you
don't
know-
need any of your funding for that study. It's already paid for.
Right, yeah.
So,
It's all the backup for being able to justify spending that money.
Yeah, right.
right.
But as you know, when we did go after that with COVID money, they said, no, that's new construction, that's new.
Yeah,
If you
this one's a
needed
little
it-
different.
This one's different.
Yeah.
This is-
Yeah.
This
So-
one's different. There's lots of money in there for infrastructure.
When is this study going to be done? Do you know?
Well, the RFPs are due back to us on April 15th. We need a little time to score.
Yeah, so give us like 2 weeks maybe. So you think maybe May 1st? We can
Maybe May
afford-
1st. It's good that we're having kind of a light spring because it means that, now there I said it, we're going to get 3 feet of snow. But they can start fairly quickly and we'll find that out through the RFP process, what their intention is. But we were told when we started to look into this, it's about a 90 to 120 day study that they're going to be zipping up and down all the roads and taking data and they're using incredible databases from the FCC and all. They're double checking everything they find. Where were the papers? What did they file with the FCC for this? It's deep, it's granular. And I know this sounds anecdotal, but I keep saying, I told them, I'm going to want to know if a provider peed on that bush. That's how granular we want it. And so.
Then they've got to
I
compile that
expect-
information, map that information,
Right,
and give us a plan in response to it. So
right.
4 months at best,
4 months at best.
probably 6 months more realistic, I would think.
Yeah, this process to getting to the county where we want to get it we're talking in years here. It's going to take a long time. This is not something that happens overnight.
Oh, sure.
And it's a lot of wrangling, it's a lot of navigating and finding the right things to do at the right time and the right people to work with you to do it. A lot of it will be taken out of our hands if these large awards of RDOF money that went to the providers will start coming into this community and doing construction. Then we won't have to do it. We've looked at ideas about county owning the pipes and leasing them back to the providers and all of that. But we also knew this avalanche was coming. We've been tracking this for a long time. And so we're watching the wheels turn.
Are you working with Alban over on the west side at all?
Alban's an interesting company. They are kind of like, we'll do it ourselves. They did get some money during the
Yeah.
last, I think it was the CARES Act, they got some money or
Yeah,
something.
the second phase.
No,
Second
no.
phase or
Yeah.
something, they got a couple of $1 million or $1.5 million. But again, I don't know where all the current providers will fall when all this really hits the fan, because Presque Isle Electric and Gas up there
Yeah.
just won a ton of money. And their concept is probably where this is going to wind up. It's going to be the utility companies, for the most part, that are going to do this work and capture these markets. Mainly because they have infrastructure already built.
Yeah.
Presque Isle has 33,000 customers. They'll start putting smart meters in their house, that they can, they'll be able to choose, I believe, the way their system is going to work. They'll be able to choose the speed they want and they'll pay accordingly. Just like electricity, use as much as you want, but you got to pay for it.
PIE&G has already shown interest all the way down to Black River.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's gonna bleed out as well. They're gonna take care of their customers first. And I think I saw a 2 to 3 years time frame on that to get them to that point. And if you go to their site, they really did a good job of, telling you what they're gonna do and how they're gonna do it and all that type of thing. So, so they're having good success and they're on their way. So getting back to Alban in the what I'll call the mid-level providers, they'll either be partnerships developed outside of our realm or not. And it's an open market. So we don't want to see anybody go out of business, but at the same time, it's not our part to
They'll work that.
I've tried to communicate with them, several have, and it's sort of John's way. He kind of likes to do things on his own quietly, you know, for a guy.
Received a copy of the RFP.
What's that?
We know he received a
Yeah,
copy of the
they,
RFP.
that company got, yep, we didn't, filter that list at all. That, a lot of those contractors came right from Connect Michigan and Connect Nation. So those are big organizations that are dedicated to just what we're doing here.
Thank you for all the work that you and your committee have done.
Well, thank you. That over there, that woman over there, man, she's the best counter to me, because you tell her something, she's gonna find out if it's true or not.
Sounds to me like it's a team.
Huh?
It sounds to me like it's a good team.
It is a good team. It is a good team. And this guy
It's not
here,
just-
well, he's got some knowledge, you know, we're working with him. We're working with him. But I do appreciate your time, and please, I'll grab a couple, I have a card that has my cell phone on it. Don't hesitate. And if out in your areas where you're gonna go to townships to talk, if it's needed, we'll show up and help. But we're not quite ready to take that roadshow out there. But let's start with anybody we can connect with in those townships that we can start to open a line of communication. Let's take it a step at a time. But if you think you need help somewhere, we're here to help you.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the door is always open here. Well, let me rephrase that. We will open the door.
If you go to the right
A door, yeah. somebody-
We will see that the door gets open for you anytime.
There you go. Thank you. It's got my cell phone on it, and on the back is that little mission thing. Yeah,
I got it.
Find me. You want one of these?
I have one too. Thank you.
I don't think I do. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. That's great information for anybody listening. I mean, they're really going out of their way to help us out.
Yeah. It's quite an organization.
You got a Bailey's waiting for you somewhere.
I'm not big. I'm going straight to the patty.
All right, next order would be claims.
Unfinished businesses or the other.
We don't have any, but I don't know.
Okay.
According to this, we don't.
Okay. All right, on claims, I'd like to make a motion to approve the pre-authorized claims and open claims presented for payment between March the 3rd, 2021 and March the 16th, 2021 for check numbers 143-412 to 143-564 and e-check numbers 1522 to 1537 for a grand total of $429,986.78.
Support.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Small,
Yes.
Reggie,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Next item, countywide cleanup. I was kind of hoping that Bill would be here to talk to us about that.
I think it's,
What do we need to do with
I have a
that?
little bit of information, but it's scheduled for the third Saturday of May. I believe that's May 15th. I'm not sure on that. Flyers are going to be out fairly soon.
Will townships be billed?
Township invoices have been mailed out. In fact, they have one or two back.
They were all mailed out the same amount to each township in
No.
the city?
Um,
If we have a copy of
yes.
that in the treasurer's office, so we know what to anticipate?
you probably don't.
No, I don't.
I will see that that happens.
Thank you.
So countywide cleanup is scheduled for, you said May 3rd?
The third Saturday
Third Saturday of May.
of May.
15.
I think it's the 15th. Don't put that in print until somebody checks.
I just did.
It's
on
right
the-
there.
Thank
the
you.
third one
Thank
is the
you.
15th. The
very
first, the 8th, the 15th.
I thought it was, but
I will also add, reach out to your local townships because they have vouchers for tires. If you have a lot of tires in your property, you can reach out to your supervisors of your townships and they can give you some vouchers to get some, to be able to have a discount on your tires when you drop them off. Discount or up to a certain amount you can
the
get for
theory
free.
on it is if you bought a piece of property and through that purchase and end up inheriting a bunch of tires that aren't really yours, you didn't create the issue. Those are the ones that in theory your supervisor should be signing off on, and you should be able to get those through.
Right, but last time around, there wasn't a lot of people knew about that, so I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, that's been
That's a big deal, I think.
everyone since for 15, 18 years we've done that.
Okay, countywide cleanup. Next, Oconee County Parks and Rec Board member appointment.
I will move to appoint Ken Kozel to the Alcona County Parks and Rec Commission as requested by their board.
I'll second that motion.
If I could suggest, if I may change my word from to as recommended. They recommended him. So.
Moved and seconded. Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Dr.
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Reggie,
Yes.
Yes.
Finance report. You want to go first? Or you want me to do it?
Yeah, I can go first.
Alrighty.
I think we've been talking about ambulance purchase, et cetera. Scott has given us a lot of different information on it. And at this time, the Finance Committee would like to recommend that with the information provided by Scott Rice, our EMS Director, the Finance Committee would make a motion that this board approves the purchase of the McCoy Miller ambulance remounted on a Ford E450 gas 4x2 chassis at the cost of $128,516. In conjunction with Republic First National Bank, we entered into a finance agreement for 3 years with a down payment of $64,258, APR 3.77%, which is $23,055.76 per year if it did go for the 3 years. We also recommend that in November, the Finance Committee reviews the EMS 213 budget. And if more monies are available, they will be directed to an additional payment on this purchase.
May I ask? I will be happy to support, but I want to know what I'm supporting. I believe I am supporting the commitment of purchase of an ambulance as described through First Republic, First National with a potential 3-year finance agreement.
Right.
Correct.
That's right. Okay. That I will.
All right, moved and seconded. Let's have some discussion about it then.
Tell us, Dan, what do you got?
One of the
Well-
caveats that I had was that they confirm that there is no penalty on early payment.
Scott, are you there? You see him?
No, son. I remember that was an earlier question.
I'm here, Dan.
Scott. Okay. One of the questions talking to earlier is that is the Republic First National receptive to paying this off early? Because all our intentions with this millage is that if indeed by the end of this year we have the money, this thing's going to get paid off within six to 10 months. So, I think that's a question. If it hasn't been asked, we need to ask them if there is a penalty if this was paid off early.
I don't believe there is one from the discussions that I've had and the online content that they have on their website.
Okay. Could you find that out for sure?
I will do that.
My question is too, is that with the monies available for the down payment, that can this order get going in so we can get moving on this before the financing approval is approved? I mean, I don't see where there's going to be an issue, but we need to get moving on this, not wait for, keep on waiting on this. What's your feeling that?
I put our name in the hat today, May 24th. It goes to Egan for the start of the rebuild and the remount. Should have a completion date of approximately May 27th, or excuse me, August 27th.
Okay.
So we're in line.
Okay. That's the only questions I have.
And in that time, First puts it,
First Republic.
First
Oh,
Republic,
Republic first.
Republic First, there you go, has ample time to do the processing.
Right.
And the county has used Republic First National before.
It sounded very familiar, yes.
Back in 2003, I found some paperwork going through the files here in the office. It looks like back in May or August of 2003, the county had financed 2 ambulances through them, similar program, similar circumstances.
Except I think those were new.
They may have been, but we have dealt with them before.
We have a history with them.
Correct.
Is this something
So-
you want to go forward with?
Yeah, that's what the motion
Without-
is.
Yeah, it's the
I
motion.
realize that, but I mean, you want that.
Well,
answer
he's already
before?
got her name in the hat for it. So I would think I would be asking for approval of this to get moving forward, and we would, as
That's
soon
what
as we
your motion
find out,
was.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
my motion. is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just discussion
yeah.
for discussion point is,
but do you feel that you want to table this, waiting for that answer on the
No,
the correction?
no, because we could pay for it.
We can pay for it.
We could pay
Okay.
It
for
was
it.
budgeted, the entire amount was budgeted
Right,
All
for
right,
this year.
right.
all right.
They
So you
just
really
they're
don't care
choosing to
about that.
finance.
Well, the only thing from Adam and I, as far as finance goes, is that our millage, which was passed by our taxpayers and our voters,
Mhm.
is to purchase this. Scott's done a good job of coming up with this idea of the remount and all new, chassis, new engine, all that kind of stuff. And so it's saving us money. We do have the money. I would just like to say, 4 or 5 months, let's get this thing going. Let's see what we got in November. That if this 213 budget, which is brand new, is following exactly what we want, this thing is going to get paid off. But right now, to get this thing going, I just don't want to keep on waiting. It's August before we get it on the road now. So
I'm ready to roll.
that's my opinion.
Okay, any further comment?
Because he did ask for this a long time ago.
If we have a motion that states a finance agreement, but we decide, say, in the next, for whatever reason, I'm just asking this question, say in the next month or so, we decide we're just gonna go ahead and just pay for it. Does this resolution tie us to do financing?
I supported a motion that approved the purchase
Right.
Including finance.
with an option for financing if,
That's what I'm trying to clarify here.
yeah. So I don't believe that the motion I supported, I don't believe excluded payment in full.
Motion for.
I did not intend it to exclude payment in full.
I think this,
Can you repeat what you have for notes?
Motion to approve EMS to purchase an ambulance chassis through 3-year financing through.
I think, can you speak up?
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Motion to approve EMS to purchase an ambulance chassis through 3 years financing through Republic First.
But if I believed that my support excluded, because I repeated what I thought I withdraw my support then if it includes the mandate of the financing. I believe we need to have a motion to approve the purchase and financing if so chosen. But
Is that an amendment to the motion?
it's discussion, I would feel at this point, but I would be happy to. Or if Dan wishes to restate his motion.
I guess if we have to,
I don't want to be the supporter of a motion that mandates us into a partial purchase of financing
I'm gonna second just so we can keep talking about it because we're kind of skirting the rules here. So
I'll amend my motion that we make a motion that this board approves the purchase of McCoy Miller ambulance remounted on a Ford E450 gas 4x2 chassis for the cost of $128,516. A down payment of $64,258 will be initiated with
An option.
with the option of an option of financing. The $64,258 down payment would be in place. I guess I don't know if that suffices it.
And
We need to move ahead with the purchase.
absolutely.
If we do decide to finance it, I don't want to see us play it in full right now. I mean, I
I'm
just
fine
don't
with
see that.
so you're a second on that motion
Yeah,
to purchase the ambulance with the option for financing for
financing.
the
And I
remaining.
think we should state with Republic First National Bank.
Okay.
I can retype it up too.
What do you think, Trina? You solid on that?
Yeah.
Okay. The confidence
Thank
in your voice. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Greggy,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes,
Duffy.
Yes.
Okay. You got anything else, Dan? Or I can go through
No,
these
you
other
go
things.
ahead.
All right, so the first thing, finance needs to move some money for the MMRA grant for the sheriff department. We need to adjust line item 101-000-677-010 by adding $929. And adjust line item 101-000-6, I have this written down, I'll give it to you afterwards, 699-000 by reducing it by $929. Cheryl, please remind me what that was.
Transfers in from fund balance.
Transfers in from fund balance. That's my motion.
I'll support that motion.
Hoffman?
Yeah.
I'm asking, why does this need to come? And
Where's that money?
for me, it's an informational piece. Because you're not changing the bottom line.
Not changing the bottom line, but it needs to be aware, you need to be aware, and there was not gonna be any changes that were gonna happen without information to the board in regards to new money coming in and reducing what was being transferred from the fund balance.
And I'm fine with that, informationally, I think, but for me, let me know you've done it and save the space on the.
I think we're just letting the board know that that's what's being done.
I'm assuming the treasurer requested a motion or wants a motion or?
I brought it to finance.
Okay.
Well, then I rescind my motion if it's just informational. I have another situation. I'll explain it first and then you can tell me if it requires a motion or not. For the ARA site, here, 211-000-699.
This one here?
Yep.
It's changing the bottom.
Oh, you're
line.
changing the bottom line. You're changing the bottom line.
So I need him. Okay, there we go.
Make a motion.
So I'll make a motion for to move
What is
some
the,
money.
is the an increase or decrease, the bottom line?
It is a increase. Sorry, my bad.
An increase of, okay, how much?
$3,250.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any further comment?
Total budget of 208 will be increased by X dollars.
Roll call.
Duffy,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Greggy.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't relieve finance committee from specifically giving the
paperwork,
numbers.
yeah.
Well, that's the way I took it.
You have the paperwork.
Maybe, but I like to be relieved also. Okay, so the next item I have is in our finance meeting today, it was requested that we have an off-cycle check request for settlement to townships. Can you give us a little background, Cheryl, please?
Have all the information from the townships. We have a total of total obligation to all, excuse me, all the entities of $1,484,270 and some odd cents. What I'm doing is preparing, that includes all the municipalities, the schools, the county, and any other entities that we collect taxes on, which for the veterans, the ambulance, EMS, all of those. If you want a specific list, I have them here available. I will have the individual amounts by Friday, and my intention is to get these checks with your approval is to get them cut for the townships next week with the clerk's office, and we will be finishing up settlement with the townships. So that is my request for approval of the $1,484,270 to be distributed to the different entities for completion of settlement for the 2020 taxes.
I'll make a motion for exactly what you just said.
Support.
And I will provide that information to the clerk's office in the back.
Roll call when you're ready.
Ready,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Next item, I have, or Dan and I have prepared for you a new budget for 244 EDC. Where did it go?
You gave it here.
Got it.
Oh, I got it here.
Yep.
Yep.
What was the amount of the one originally approved?
Well, the problem is we didn't have a 21 originally approved. And never
Didn't have
made it,
one.
and never made it on the books.
Okay,
So that's what this is.
okay. And you want to move all of the fund balance in? You want to transfer all that in?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Where's that?
I have a little problem with that, but
So Dan, you want to make a motion to,
Yeah, I make a motion that the board approves the 2021 amended budget for our Fund 244 Economic Development Fund.
and I will second. Moved and seconded. Carolyn,
I would like to see the transfer in from fund balance moved to a $10,000 or a $15,000, $10,000 or $12,000 amount rather than the 23.
No, well, first of all, we had $11,500 some dollars come in from Target last year.
Right. Yep.
Right, and $1,450 came in this year specifically for EDC. We had
Right.
12,000 something sitting in this 244 fund that's been there for years. That was just sitting over in this
Right.
fund as a fund balance. Okay. So we're moving that, instead of sitting that, we're just moving that, so it's all into this fund. It
No,
does-
it's not changing funds, I don't believe.
No, we're not changing funds. It's just
No.
not sitting over in the fund balance. It's not, this is now recognizing exactly how much money there is into that fund.
But we don't necessarily always recognize how much is in a fund.
You just got to report with, excuse my
Yeah.
discussion, but you just got to report with the information on the activities of the EDC, and it looks like they are moving forward with many, many fantastic ideas that may require funding.
Right.
And the availability of the funds there to be budgeted for these projects may be advantageous to them to be aware of exactly what they have and what's available for their use.
I believe by putting it, I'm concerned with putting it, right, it's there. Even if we only did put, say, 10,000 in and left 13 in fund balance, they know it's there, but I just think that would leave, you could always go and get that and bring it in. But I don't see any, what's in reserve for 2022?
All of this right now.
Well, not if it gets spent.
Well, we don't have the faintest idea. Right now, there's $24,715 that could be there. Next year, they haven't spent a nickel in 2 years. So
Can I have it? Say anything?
Yeah,
So speaking from the EDC, remember, we're the committee, not the board. You're still the board.
Right.
So anything that gets spent would have to be gone through this board.
No,
Yes.
no.
Yes,
Well-
that's the EDC board's fund, not the EDC committee's fund.
Right.
Now, it's implied, of course, I mean, that we're gonna bring a project to you.
That you got $24,000 to spend.
Well, that the board has to spend, not the committee. So the
Right.
committee's gonna come to you and say, hey, we need this amount of money. You're
You
gonna
and
have
I
the final
both know
say.
that 90% of the bills are paid before we ever see them or know about them,
For what?
anything.
Well, the committee will not spend any money until it runs it through this board.
Right.
Well, the EDC board, this board, you two are a combination at this point. So this board has the power to be able to disperse those funds.
Right.
Not the committee. The committee was appointed to do the work that we're doing. I mean, yes, we will bring a proposal to say, hey, this is what we have. We need $2,500 to do something. You're gonna have to be the ultimate ones that are gonna pay for that, are gonna release.
We're gonna approve it first.
Yeah.
Right.
okay. Any further commissioner comments? Let's have a roll call.
Paul,
Yes.
Reggie,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
No,
Okay, I got a copy. Trina, you got a copy of that already, right? Did I leave some copies of that over there?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all I have for finance,
Yep.
believe it or not.
I had one thing, and you guys all have it, but we had, finance had asked Diane Rash, our housing commission director, to attend by Zoom, and unfortunately, she had a doctor's appointment that could not do it. She has sent us a report just for your review, and she has assured me she will attend the April 7th Zoom meeting and give us a report in person.
thank you, Dan, for this. Appreciate
That's it on finance.
it. It's good information.
Okay. Personnel report.
We have had a negotiation meeting. I did not have time to finish all the comparatives. We'll be bringing those to you no later than the April 7th meeting. And I can envision, I haven't had a chance to talk to Terry about this yet, but if you all are having a finance meeting that already brings two of you in, that maybe we'll tag team onto that and ask for a board meeting before or after to bring forward the stuff. We have agreements coming forward from EMS, and that's pretty much it, I think.
I think you got it, Carolyn.
I didn't have anything else on it.
We didn't schedule a next finance meeting, so we'll have to figure that out and get back to you.
Yeah. It just seems like, like I said, well, I already got two of you here.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
Finance meeting was one of my scheduling that maybe next week, or is that, we've been generally trying to do it every week?
We have been trying to do it every week. And I was gonna email you and see how buried you were, because I know you're working on some other stuff right now too. You know what I mean? Just to make sure.
Okay. I think it's a good thing. And a lot accomplished. I am working on settlement. We, like I said, I'm still waiting on a few townships for their final payments. We didn't run into a whole lot of issues. There were a few issues, housekeeping issues, cleanup, and just a few missed transactions and errors, but we got those pretty much all cleaned up. Just waiting on the final payments, and then, like I said, we'll be making the payments to the townships next week. I've had a lot of inquiries in regards to the monies that are coming into the county and how much is filtering to the townships. So far, I've heard nothing about that, but there was something that was put out by the Department of Treasury that I would like you to share with your townships. It's for financially distressed townships, cities and villages. And it's a grant. It is a regular grant that they do for distressed townships, cities, villages, et cetera, that they may have interest in. This is just kind of an overview, but there is, I emailed it to all the treasurers and you all last night.
Last night?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Probably at 11 o'clock. I just,
Oh, okay, I didn't see that. I didn't think it was.
so, but there is a link in there that they can check out what the original email from the state of Michigan was from the Department of Treasury, and it sounded like this was an opportunity, unlike others, that they could utilize these funds for projects and because there's been different projects that have come through the townships. They've been, one that stands out to me, and I'm not sure whose district that is, but was flooding in a park or something. It might have been Millen Township. They had an issue with their, one of their parks, and so maybe looking into this, there's approximately $2 million that is available, and it is on a need basis. But and there are criteria that have to be met, but for those townships who have issues, who have had a declining fund balance, these funds are available, and it's all based on, they do the criteria, but it might be a good start, or maybe even for looking at some infrastructure for the broadband would relieve and add to, I don't know. It's just something to look into, but because there was a few questions that came through, yes.
Did you say you have emailed this out to the township treasurers?
The township treasurers and the city and the village,
Right.
as well as you all to share with your
I didn't see it.
boards.
Did you see it? Yeah, there's something in there. But I thought it was more towards the charter of accounts thing
Oh, no.
that I think. There's more in there than what I cruised, I guess.
Maybe that's.
No, that was just a memo that came through yesterday from the Department of Treasury in regards to funding for townships.
Okay.
Because nothing had been clarified on, everybody's talked about the money that's coming in, and looking for a piece. Settlement has pretty much taken up everything that we've been doing. We have been taking in tax payments. There's 2 more weeks and we're down into the low 40s, I believe. We may have gotten a few payments today. I haven't been in to check on our foreclosures. So we are looking at, unfortunately, a little bit higher amount than hoped for. We have 373 properties that went into forfeiture that were delinquent for a year and have now gone into forfeiture. We've been waiting with the new verbiage that needed to go on the certificates of forfeiture. We had to hold off on printing those. Generally, we get those done the first week in March, but I just have those printed, so we'll be transferring 373 pieces of paper to the registered deeds office for recording, which is pretty close to where we've been in the past. It's not a huge increase like I may have expected. So people have been paying their taxes, and other than that, working on a little bit 2020 audit. I do have the information that's requested from the auditors that I will be getting to everyone, and the IT about getting a drive set up for the commissioners for the audit purpose. So all the information that is required by the auditors can be uploaded to that file, where you can upload your information that you need to gather for the audit. And then we can send that whole file to the auditors, and they can start their progress on our audit. So I will have that done no later than mid next week, and get everything to you with what I'm asking you to provide. Other than that,
Nothing else to
nothing
do.
else going on?
Nothing else going on.
Does anybody have any questions?
Matt, I want to talk to you after the meeting about grant stuff.
Okay.
In particular, this EDC grant that just came up. I saw you blinking a lot when you talked about that, so I want to, and Craig, if you could hang out a little bit too and
What's
talk
that?
to you.
I missed it.
That new grant the EDC got and how it's managed and what we have to do for paperwork.
It's all managed through NEMCOG.
Yeah, it's all through
It's
that.
all MCOG?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it does have.
Never mind
nothing to
then.
do here.
I just heard the word grant and my alarm bells went off.
We approved that last year.
Okay.
We did do approval too on the board level, but it was through.
Okay.
NEMCOG taking care of that.
All right, excellent. Moving on, clerk's report.
We just want to touch base on the fact that a new payroll clerk started today in our office, and we are very excited to be fully staffed again. Other than that, we are just working alongside the treasurer's office with the financing and all about those things and continuing.
Okay, thank you very much. Several communications, go through at your leisure. How about, go,
Before we go into committee reports, I have just two subjects I'd like to bring forward. We don't have discussions on them, but I'd like to have us make sure we do in the future, near future.
okay,
And I mentioned them briefly to you. Everybody that I'm talking to and listening to believes a lot of what we've been doing has been based on the MIOSHA 6-month request back from mid-October, October 14th. Most everybody that I've talked to says they're going to move that date forward. It's not going to end April 14th or April 12th. I lean towards thinking this is true, which means we would continue status quo. But I also believe the governor came out with something saying that meetings can be completely in person starting the 1st of April. So there's a bit of a conflict there. Of course, there's been a lot of conflicts all along this. We need to realize that I think that we need to be ready to go some direction. We got to choose a path somewhere. So as I said, we don't have to do that today, but the second thing is the money that we've all spent at least twice over and then learned that we couldn't spend it what we thought we wanted to spend it on. But it does involve the community, involves groups in the community and all that. And I would like to see us very soon have a meeting and begin a conversation of how are we going to handle that amount of money? Where are the areas we want to look at, that whole parameter of stuff? And I talked briefly with Dan about it.
well, I'm all for that, but I still have no clue exactly. Before we start any conversations with people who are in need of the money, we first have to identify what we can spend the money on.
Oh, I agree.
And
All that I've been able to see has been COVID related. Some of them have been a little bit of a stretch.
well, that's the thing. I've read 5 different things and they all say something different.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the check to show up, but the official rules attached to it.
I don't think that will happen. I think there will be some rules, but they're not going to be attached to the check.
Well,
I think it should be on our radar, and I want us to realize that, or I don't want to say realize, but I want us to recognize that maybe by the end of April, we need to have, I don't want to have us lose sight of it and suddenly say, oh God, we got $2 million we have to spend, and we have 5 days to do it in, or something,
Yeah.
Well, it's not 2 because you only get half of it and all.
I think the real thing is that we need to keep our eyes open for this, but at the same token, we do not to be making any kind of decisions without knowing the whole true parameters of the rules.
you're right. We do need to get under it for sure.
Well, and with the grant that I did, we had all these ideas that we believed were COVID related. And when we submitted the ideas, they said, no, not really. And so, anyway, agreed. That's all
Yeah, we'll get it on the radar and everybody will start thinking about it. We'll definitely set some meetings up for sure. I
Thank
think it would be
I
smart.
expect there would be to hear a lot of input coming.
Their IT guys, right, Johnny on the spot there.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's answering some questions right there.
So I shared that on there, so that's,
Oh, okay.
I know that Cheryl, you brought up townships, so that's the money that each
Yeah,
township.
the townships are gonna get money. Yeah, so.
And then that's the,
So they're
county.
actually getting that and we're getting
Yeah.
projected
Yeah.
2 million.
Yeah, that's right there.
That's what I mean. It seems like a fantasy, but we'll see what happens.
Is this really, there's that much money out there that?
Sure.
That's what they just passed.
No,
We've
that's
got a good
true.
printing press.
You know how long those strings stretch all the way here from Washington, so.
Holy,
So, yeah, so there's one of the first answers right there.
yeah.
Because I was asked, well, are the townships, are we gonna get any money? Well, there's the answer right there.
Oh, yeah, and that was listening. If you go in and type that, well, the thing that Max sent us, it was on that.
Yeah.
The township things. Well, it was NACO that sent it, not
That
Max.
was my question, was it
Act like
township
it.
getting this,
Yeah.
the figures
Yeah.
we were seeing, and
Yeah.
I'm still in shock.
It'll all be very interesting when it comes down.
But the
for
strings that
sure.
are attached to it are,
And will be equally as interesting.
yeah.
They're always is.
You gotta help the guy that doesn't spend it on what they're supposed to.
On that communication, just real quick, do we need anything as far as this training?
Invite? No, it's-
It looks like it costs, and I just wondered if we need anything there.
What is it in regards to?
The MSU
It's Robert's
training,
rules order.
Oh.
I mean, it says it's.
Well, if a
eighth month.
commissioner wants to sign up for this, then we'll throw
We've been
some.
paying our own way when we've done schools lately, so
Why are we doing that?
just write it off in your income tax.
Well, if you'd like to, let's bring it to the next. When's the dates?
It's not until April.
I think
It's
the
April 12th, so
reservations
we-
have to be in, I think, the 1st of April,
Yeah.
don't they?
Yeah, you gotta register. It's
Yeah.
$50 per person or $200 for the whole board.
And we don't meet before then.
Yeah, we do the 7th.
Oh, the thing is registered by April 12th?
Oh, I don't know.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have if you were thinking about going to that, I guess we'll talk about it and
Okay.
let's see if we got some, I don't know. Karen says we pay for it on our own too, so I don't
I
know.
have,
I believe.
because there was no line item to pay for education in our
That is
101, 101.
that's true. We do not have that.
Huh?
We don't have any training in 101?
We don't have any money anywhere.
That,
How's that sound?
That's the answer.
years
Understandable.
ago, we used to, when we went to MAC meetings.
All right, how about committee reports?
Want me to go first?
Sure.
Attended the veterans yesterday and had a good conversation with them as always. They're still looking to relocate someday. Attended Makedo's Township, Curtis Township, and mental health on last Tuesday. Again, their outfit is working quite a bit with district health, doing registering for the vaccination stuff. That was a good thing. Carolyn's already talked about the union negotiation and working on the charts of accounts little project that I keep getting emails and timely things and everything. So anyway, we're trying to get that set up. So that's all I got.
How about you, Dan?
I passed everybody around NEMCOG's program highlights that's highlighted from July through February for everybody to look at. Kind of gives you a good overview of what NEMCOG's involved in. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, they are involved in a lot of stuff. Have a Zoom meeting tomorrow morning with with Michigan Works and with NEMCOG. Alcona Township. Was that their meeting? Everything's going good there. Other than that, that's it.
Carolyn?
I mentioned already the fact that negotiations, we did not have it for you today. My OSHA, one of my comments to Adam was, it's working as it is. We've hung in so far, and I think we can continue for a little while longer if necessary. Just remember, we've been promised a small barbecue for the 4th of July if we're good little children. So,
That's serious sarcasm from you.
no.
Okay.
Hunt for the annual amount, they left it at the same, the 8,000 that it's been for a couple of years. They're fairly secure financially. Bill and I are waiting for a date to meet with the chamber. We've been exchanging emails. We got an email recently that they could have met on, as Bill and I were tied up. And then Steve is leaving town Friday, the 19th, won't be back until early sometime in April. So hopefully we'll get a meeting scheduled for them. Replaced the furnace at the harbor, about 2,500, a little under 2,500. It's the one in the front area where the chamber left. They didn't do anything wrong with it. We're beginning to work on the grant tracking project. Terry has mentioned the chart of accounts. NEMRI 211. We've hired 2.5 more FTEs. We're on overload as far as the number of calls that are coming in, but we have dropped way down to around a 30-second answering of the calls, which is close to our goal. So, and that's 2-in-1 hunt negotiations. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. All my heavy hitters we covered already, so I don't have anything new.
Adam, you want me to do anything with road commission?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Not that I enjoyed your serving company here. So road commission, and for all of you board members, if you get people complaining, road restrictions are on. We're talking with Jesse, maybe the 1st of April, they might be able to come off.
Oh, wow.
So it might be a little earlier this year because of the way the weather's going. Now, if we get 3 feet of snow and it freezes back up, we're in trouble. So that's good. US 23 project, you can see the equipment around. It's getting ready to get going. They got to get a permit at Harrisville Township. They have a meeting 1st of April at their zoning board. They're looking at getting some dirt out behind the cemetery here and got made aware that they probably need a permit to do that. So they're taking care of that. I don't think it's going to slow them up at all. Other than that, everything else there, it seems that they started their negotiations, I believe, this week. In fact, I think today was the first day of negotiations for their people.
They are getting started on, because if I recall correctly, last fall, they said if the weather is decent, they would start early into March.
You talking about the US 23 project?
Yes,
I think they
yeah.
would. If the frost is out, they're gonna get going.
Good.
They've got a drop dead date there that they want to get, I'm sure, beat that date, so.
As long as they're still trying to honor that.
Yeah, I would assume so. So, other than that, so I would suspect you'll get, if not an email, something, because as soon as they finish up with their contract with the employees, they're gonna want to talk Jesse's contract, so they're gonna want to talk to you guys at some point.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any public comment from anywhere? Once again, you can always go in the chat box if your audio is not working. 5 more seconds. All right. Then.
Oh, I do.
No, there it is.
It just hit me. I'm thinking, what's something I wanted to ask? What was the 3,500 for ERA? Transfer from what, their fund balance, or what was, you did
Yes.
all from their fund balance into, I see.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so, Commissioner, additional comments and concerns?
Nothing.
Hearing none. Meeting adjourned until the next regular meeting on April 7th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for participating.
I'll put this on Bill's desk.